evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Today I'm going to be talking about our final selection for the Southwest Transit Marketing Project. We'll be going into an introduction about the project, the team selection, our final 4 members. We'll talk about each individual profile, their strengths and their weaknesses, some strategies for success, including motivational strategies and conflict management. We'll talk about conscious capitalism and how the company fits into that mindset, and then we'll conclude. And there's a list of references. So our task was to finalize the selection of team members from 6 members from our last project to 4 today. And then we'll discuss the key strategies for success, what strengths each member brings to the table, what potential weaknesses we might have to combat. The key requirements for this project were to formulate a team that works well under high pressure, because we went from a team of 6 people to 4 people. With any new team, conflicts may arise, so we need to talk about how we're going to manage all that conflict and each individual's personality, how we can manage each of them, and their each individual strengths and weaknesses. So our final team selection, we went with Natalie, Michael, Caitlin, and Elizabeth. For Natalie, the primary reason that we selected her was she was a strong communicator, both verbally and written, and she's motivated by competition. When this whole project is basically a competition between Southwest Transit and the emerging competition in the companies, or other companies, so we picked her so she can kind of fuel that competitive nature into the overall company profile. As I said, she's a strong verbal and written communicator. She's able to smooth over tense situations within a group, so any conflicts that may arise between team members, Natalie can take a leadership role in that and smooth those conflicts over. While some of her potential weaknesses is that she's kind of a control freak in that she doesn't fully trust her team, so she'll be a little bit micromanagerial, we think, but there are other team members that will help combat that. She can have a negative attitude, and her efficiency is impacted when she lets other team members monopolize over her conversation. So she has a little bit of an issue taking that leadership point. So we won't necessarily look at her for team leadership, but she does have the communication skills that will help smooth over any conflicts. The primary reason we chose Michael was he is a leader, both within a team and in an organization. He's able to motivate others, he's really emotionally intelligent, and he can also think strategically. So he can look at the big picture, at what the company's what the main point or goals of the company are trying to be, and bring that to our specific project. Some of his other strengths are that he enjoys motivating others in order to bring out their best product. And this will be particularly important. He's not afraid to ask questions to clarify project requirements. So with this kind of vague marketing plan of, hey, fix the company, Michael will be able to clarify any potential vague points of the project. And as I said already, he's a global and strategic thinker. Some of his weaknesses, he has trouble focusing on tasks in front of him. It's part of that global thinking where he's always thinking about something else. So we might have to, as a manager, focus him in on the specific project that we're working on. Caitlin, primary reason for picking her, she's highly motivated. She wants to promote through the company. She has high standards for her work quality. And additionally, she's flexible to change under high pressure. So this project is going to be very demanding and a tense, high pressure environment, so we'll be looking to Caitlin to be able to be calm and cool and collected throughout that high pressure environment. This can be a strength or a weakness. She can get visibly irritated with some of the tasks, but she'll rally and commit to get the job done. So it might be a little rocky at first, but she will commit to the job and make sure everything gets done. For Elizabeth, the primary reason we selected her was that strategic thinking, leadership, and diplomatic qualities. So she'll be able to not necessarily take a leadership role, but be able to ground the team into overall goals, much like Michael was, and then even she'll be able to be diplomatic and come to a solution that's best for everybody, for the company and the clients. A potential weakness for her is that she's not comfortable branching out into new skill sets. So in this environment, or for this project, we probably won't look to her to do new things, but she's very strong in the skills that she does already possess. So main potentials for conflict is building any new team. We've talked about forming, storming, norming, and performing in class before. Right now we're in the forming stage, and right after forming, once the team comes together, we'll go into the storming stage where personality conflicts, task conflicts, and everything like that will begin to show themselves. And then another conflict is just the fact that the organization itself right now is understaffed. So what a fully staffed operation might expect one person to do, we're unfortunately expecting one person to do many more times that amount of work. Conflict is inevitable when building a team together, but I found through my research that one of the best ways to manage conflict is to decide whether or not the conflict is task or relationship oriented. So task conflict is anything that promotes conflict from the work project itself, whether the work is too hard, there's a new problem with a new client, anything like that that's work related. It will actually bring together the team and it will increase productivity. Conversely, relationship conflict are conflicts between the team members themselves, whether they be personality, morals, ethics, anything that is basically, I don't like you for some reason, that can obviously decrease productivity. From a management standpoint, task conflict can be solved with confrontation, so meeting the problem head on, while relationship conflict can be mitigated by either avoidance, putting your differences aside for the common goal, or management assistance where a boss has to get involved. And hopefully we can just stick with the avoidance, put our differences aside without having to need a boss's help. Some conflict resolution and motivation strategies. I did some research and there are 5 tested strategies for motivating. So we'll begin by fostering mutual respect for the expertise of all team members. We did an analysis of everybody and we picked them all for a reason. They all have strengths that they'll bring to the table, and we want to make sure everybody respects those and make sure that it's known that every person on the team is valuable. We'll help weaker members of the team believe that even though they might think that they're a little weaker in some aspects, they still contribute and the team will not be able to get their job done without them. Supporting a shared belief in the cooperative capabilities of the team. If one person doesn't believe in the work of the team, it's going to spread and the whole team is going to collapse. So everybody needs to get on board and realize that what they're doing is vital to the company and for the company's survival. Holding individual members accountable is very important. So if the group starts to fail as a group, everybody needs to look at themselves and see how they can be more accountable and make sure what they're doing is what needs to be done for the success of the company. Because if somebody just keeps blaming everybody else for their fallings, then the team is going to fall apart. And then direct the team's competitive spirit outside the team and the organization. Even though competition is a good thing, we want to make sure that we're not competing with ourselves in the team, because that can lead to negative outcomes. So we want to take the competitive spirit and push it out towards the other company that we're competing against. And one of the biggest conflict resolution or motivation strategies is just to communicate. If somebody's having an issue, we need to be able to talk about it and make sure it's a two-way communication. Diving into conscious capitalism, a lot of different aspects make Southwest Transit a conscious capitalist company. The first thing is looking at stakeholder interest. Everybody's a stakeholder, whether it's the organization themselves, the customers, or the employees. And so everybody has a vested interest in this company. The company is providing a product of family, being able to travel as a family economically, and then company travel as well. And so if the business were to fall or if if the team's project is not successful, then the company is going to fail, and we're going to be putting a lot of customers out of convenience, and then additionally we're going to have to lay off a lot of employees, which we're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People need to be working and creating a job or creating money for themselves in order to provide for their family. So if the project fails, we'll be unable to care for everybody in the business ecosystem. So in conclusion, we talked about our team selection, Natalie, Michael, Caitlin, and Elizabeth, talking a little bit about the relationships and how we can overcome certain aspects. Michael's leadership and emotional intelligence will be able to help Caitlin's inability to take constructive criticism and enhance her high performance. So when she does start to get a little OCD and focus in on one project that starts to detract from her productivity, Michael will be able to act as a peer leader and bring her back up to her productivity. Natalie's communication skills, with any team or with any project like this that's going to be very important, talking to the CEO, discussing other companies, communication is an absolute asset. And Natalie is a strong communicator, both written and verbally. And Elizabeth, as I stated earlier, she's a global strategic thinker and will be able to translate the big picture things that some of the other team members might not be able to see into how it's important to what they're doing in that moment. And then Caitlin's high drive will focus the group on the objectives and set their expectations. And Elizabeth will be able to keep those expectations realistic. These are my references. Does anybody have any questions?